Hello dear students, my name is Gaurav Bansal, your teacher for Indian Economy at GS Core. We are coming with the next session in our ongoing beloved series of Approach to Mains, where we are discussing how to integrate PYQ in your preparation plan. So basically our idea is question to concept. You pick up a PYQ and then you map it with the syllabus, you try to understand the theme, and on that basis you try to predict from that area if a question is going to come in future, what it will be or what kind of nature would it there be. Okay, so previous year questions were asked in certain context. You need to understand that context also sometimes. Now the question is, economic growth in the recent past has been led by an increase in labor productivity. Explain this statement. Suggest the growth pattern that will lead to creation of more jobs without compromising labor productivity. So the underlying theme of this question is unemployment. Of course, this is within the broader theme of unemployment, but other than that, it is also about jobless growth. Okay, in the topic of unemployment, there is a very important topic of jobless growth, which is one of the biggest challenges that India is facing. Earlier we used to argue that services are not able to create enough jobs, maybe manufacturing will create. But we have seen that in last 10 years, the kind of manufacturing investments that have taken place in India, they are largely capital oriented, they are capital intensive. For example, investment into the iPhones manufacturing in India, investments into chip manufacturing in India, investments into automobile manufacturing in India. These type of factors do not create too many jobs. I'm not saying they do not create jobs, they do create a lot of jobs, but not enough number of jobs. This is the problem that India is facing. And in this process, while economic growth remains high, the job creation remains low. We are not saying we are not creating jobs. We are creating good number of jobs every year, but that is not enough to reduce unemployment, because the addition to the labor supply is also massive in India. The population in India, the growth rate of that peaked somewhere in the 90s, 80s. The population that got born in the 90s is joining the workforce now or in the last 5-10 years. All those people were the biggest group of the population born at a certain time. So the people who are joining our workforce today, they are a very big group. Perhaps 20 years later, the children that are being born now will be less, because now our population growth rate has reduced significantly. But the entrants in the economy, they are from 20 to 30 years ago. That's what also we need to keep in mind. So we not only have to create good number of jobs for the existing population, but also for the new people who are joining the workforce. So for that purpose we need more jobs. Okay, while our economic growth is good enough to cover up the current population if it is not growing, but unfortunately the population is also has grown very rapidly in past. As a result, the new entrants in the jobs are also massive. All of this you do not have to mention, I'm just giving you the background here. Okay, so jobless growth is very important theme. Now let us interpret this. Job creation challenge, this is what I was explaining you, that lot of people are joining our workforce and we need to create massive number of jobs. Then rising productivity, reducing jobs, and another interpretation is fourth industrial revolution. This second theme you can also rewrite as the jobless growth. And all of these are related to the central theme of today's discussion, unemployment. So the fourth industrial revolution is about AI, it is about robotics, it is about automation. So all of this is also on rise in India. So these are the underlying themes. So this question has been asked about the labor productivity. In future they might ask about that the recent economic growth of India is largely in the area of heavy industry and capital intensive sectors. So that would be another way of saying the same thing. Or the use of robotics and AI in Indian industry has increased a lot. That is also another way of asking the similar thing. Question किसी भी approach से आए, the underlying theme is same. If there is more use of AI and automation, that is also about jobless growth. Then if it is more about the capital investments, this is also about jobless growth. So underlying theme will not change. That's why we have given you 3 interpretations. Now, if this particular question we have to approach. So economic growth in recent past has been led by an labor productivity. So you have to talk about the recent economic growth drivers. That is the best way to start this. That in the recent time, economic growth in India has been led by either the high-end manufacturing exports, for example, the investments by Apple and some of the other big automobile industry in India, or it has been led by services sector. And in both of these areas, the people on average earn more and less number of people work while they produce hugely. So their contribution to the GDP is good. Their contribution to the foreign exchange is also good, but their contribution to the jobs in terms of quantity is not good. Quality, it is good, but quantity, it is not good. So you have to talk about that. What kind of technological advancements are there? Then capital deepening investments, that investments which increase the capital in the industry. These are the themes that you need to start with. Then you need to expand on the idea of capital deepening, which you can also relate to the 4th industrial revolution here. Okay, so that is how you should be starting this question. And then eventually you should be talking about the modern challenges, and then you will be talking about what kind of growth pattern, okay, growth pattern will address this problem and create more jobs without compromising labor productivity. So we do not have to go back on technology, but how do we hire more people for similar type of work? So for that, eventually you have to talk about skill development, that we need to improve the skill of our people. In large number of areas, producers are adopting AI not because AI is superior, or producers are adopting automation not because automation is cheaper, but because they are not able to get skilled labor in adequate numbers. So we need to improve on the labor supply aspects. Then we need to invest more in the labor intensive sector, and for that purpose government may have to support more. Okay, so we have to support textile, construction, tourism, which create more jobs. And here you can also give example of government policies. So government is also supporting all these sectors. For example, we have a special package for the ready-made garments in the textile for exports. Then formalization of labor market. Our labor market reforms, unless they take place, industries are afraid to hire large number of people. So our labor laws are a concurrent list subject, and majority of the time in the states, the state makes certain rules for their area, that if there are, let's say, labor union is a subject under the states, okay, they are registered with the state, and state administration which largely deals with the labor union. So states make a rule, any factory with more than 200 laborers is entitled to create its own labor union. So workers can have their own elections and elect labor union, and then labor union will interfere in the decision making in the company. That interference can be in positive way, can also be in negative way. It depends upon the situations. So we expect that it will be positive. They will be arguing for the labor welfare. They will be contributing to the overall development and discussion. But many times this do not happen. And many times the owner of the company do not want additional director, additional member in the board of director from labor side. So that's why they do not hire 200 workers or the required workers. In some state this number is 400 also. So industrialists do not hire people just because they do not want to allow creation of labor union in their factory, because that sometimes is challenging for them. So we need to bring labor market reforms. We need to formalize our labor market. Okay, and many other challenges are there related to the labor. So we need to bring a lot of labor reforms, and then only our capitalists will also bring more and more labor friendly investments, labor intensive. Then there are some technological innovations which can, while being efficient, can also hire more labor. So for example, there is a certain construction process in which either you can have a heavy machinery and 5 people, and you can construct with the same cost, same time. Meanwhile, the same job is possible that you can do with 50 people and a smaller machinery, and in the same time, same cost. So in many areas there are alternatives where we can hire more people, but many a times due to problems like lack of skilled labor, due to the labor market issues, capitalists also avoid hiring laborers. Okay, so these are certain challenges here and that we need to address. Now if we look at the similar questions in future related to this, then I've created these questions. Despite rising economic output, job creation in India remains sluggish. This is basically classical economic jobless growth argument. Then examine the structural factors behind this trend and suggest a path for inclusive employment-led growth. Inclusive growth, but also employment-led growth. Inclusive growth means all the segments, all the different segments of your population, sectors of economy, okay, groups, all of them are included in the process. Okay, if employment is 85%, then there should not be too much difference in that across religion. Okay, let's say it is not a bad idea that, let's say, among Hindus unemployment is 7%, among Muslims unemployment is 8%, among Jains unemployment is 5%, among Sikh unemployment is 6%. This is negligible. This kind of variation is fine, but we will have a problem when, let's say, among Sikh unemployment is 15%, among Muslims unemployment is 20%, among Jains unemployment is 2%, among Hindus unemployment is 4%. Now there is a huge difference. That means there is something wrong when you look at the religious groups, that certain religious groups are able to get higher number of jobs, certain groups are not. Then you need to address the solutions, address their problems and find solutions. So that is also an aspect of inclusive employment. So it's not just religion, it's also region. And in fact, region is more important than religion. So if jobs are created only in Maharashtra, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, it is a problem. We need to create jobs in Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Eastern Uttar Pradesh and Assam, Bengal also, so that there is not such a uncontrolled mass migration towards these states, and which creates a lot of problems later. Okay, so all these aspects come within the umbrella of inclusive growth. Then increasing labor productivity has not translated in proportional employment gains. Okay, so that is very similar to what we have asked here. Okay, discuss the paradox and explore policy measures that can ensure both high productivity and labor rich growth. This is very similar to the UPSC previous year question, and this is just another way of asking the same. So this is such an important reoccurring theme that UPSC can rephrase this type of theme and relate it to some kind of recent development. Okay, for example, they can link it to the chip manufacturing in India, they can link it to the 4th generation industrial revolution, they can link it to some of the other recent developments, and then ask you this, that in India labor productivity is rising because one labor is able to achieve a lot with huge machinery and other technical support. Okay, so we need to create more jobs, but that doesn't mean we go regressive, that we avoid technology, we go, let's say, anti-technology. That is not the way, because that way we will not be able to compete with others. So while we remain technologically updated, we remain competitive, we also have to hire more labor. So those areas where maybe we can have alternate technology or combination, and that doesn't reduces quality, that doesn't, let's say, increases the production time too much, or let's say by big margin, then maybe we can adopt that. Okay, so these are the kind of ideas that you need to integrate here. So with this, I hope you will be able to answer this easily, and you will be able to work out more such questions on your own as well. Okay, so I would suggest that you try to answer these given questions in the comments, and I will try to evaluate them. Okay, so when your comment will come, I will try that I can regularly check. I mean, I will try that I will promptly comment. Okay, it's not that I will try to comment, I will definitely comment under your comment or under your answer, but it might take some time because it depends upon how quickly you are writing after this video is uploaded. Okay, so I will try to check your question promptly if you provide your answers, your observations in the comments. So try to participate more and more. Thank you. We'll be meeting soon with another theme.